This is a new series that I'm doing, Makeup for Girls Who Do Not Make Up. Now, in this series, we're going to be addressing some initial issues that we face when we just about start on our makeup journey and things that can put us off. So, if you are somebody who really wants to wear makeup, but every time she wears makeup, she or he wears makeup, you feel like it's just not looking good on you and you don't like the outcome, we're going to pick up scenarios and issues, and we're going to be talking about products that help us get there in the most convenient ways. If you have facial hair that are slightly darker than your skin tone, you may want to dermaplane. I don't recommend this to everyone because some people can get acne. In my case, I do laser hair removal, so for me, dermaplaning works just fine. It just gets rid of the fuzz. The foundation doesn't cling on to the dark hair and doesn't become crumbly around the hair follicles, and you basically have a more flatter canvas to work with. I just use my eyebrow trimmer between my laser sessions. Okay, next, skin prep. You might just be lazy and you don't want to do skin prep, and that's not always okay, and we'll address that in a different video. But for this video, I'm going to assume that you just do not want to spend any effort on skin prep. And a great example would be today, where I am still wearing the moisturizer and sunscreen that I left for work in, and now I have to go out in the evening and I cannot be bothered to wash my face. I do not recommend that. I would typically recommend good skincare. We're going to be addressing different concealers and different foundations in different videos. I have a lot of them. They are all for different purposes, but if you're a girly who cannot have makeup stay on her face and your skin is oily, then this is the one for you. So you want something really light, and the Sun is an e.l.f. brightening concealer, and by light I mean not by color but texture. And you're just gonna point it at all the spots where you feel like you have some discoloration, and you're gonna just crisscross around it. Spot. Okay, I have redness here, and now once I'm done applying, I'm just spreading it all, and I'm creating a little bridge around my nose. I'm not getting around my eyes because we are talking about makeup for girlies who don't like makeup, and getting it around the eyes can be a little cumbersome. And now we're going to use any foundation brush that we have. So you can use something like this, which is a flat foundation brush, and sort of tap, 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 and spread, tap, 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 and spread. The idea is that you want very little makeup. Here I did not have a lot of concealer, so I was just able to go in. But over here, around my eye especially, I want to be sort of tapping, dragging, lifting, tapping, dragging, lifting, sort of a motion. So you're gonna do it with me. I know, we're kind of slow, but you have to do it a few times to get it in your muscle memory, and then you can speed up. How do you speed up? You start circling. Circle, 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 rub, circle, circle, rub. And now that it's spread everywhere it needs to spread, now I'm just going to do those circular motions to blend it all in place. Okay. Now the reason I did my concealer first is because we do not like makeup, which means that I'm just going to be using 1 drop of skin tint, literally a drop. Literally this 1 drop of skin tint. I'm going to spread it gently all over my brush, and I'm going to use half a drop on half side of my face. And for this again, this time I'm not even using a dab motion. I'm going to be just smoothly touching, feathering it on my face. I'm literally feathering it, so it's like the contact is literally for a split second, and only with the surface. The brush is probably not even moving, but as I get closer to the contours, the brush will move, but that's okay. You still have to keep a very light hand and a feathering motion. And the same goes for that remaining half drop. Now for this, I'm just picking everything up because a lot of it has probably dried on my face. And as the foundation hardens, you also want to press the brush in further, because the foundation becomes harder to move as it dries, which is why you need some force on the bristles. So this side is getting more force, but that's okay. We've just compensated for the texture that this foundation became by the time we reached the other side. Now I still have this little spot over here. I'm going to leave it untouched right now because We're gonna come back to this later because we do not like makeup. Okay, now I'm just gonna do a quick check in the mirror to see whether I've covered everything I wanted to cover. Okay, now what's happening is you've applied foundation and now suddenly you're like, oh my god, it doesn't look good on me because my skin looks so flat. And this is the next step, and this is something that a lot of people miss out on. But you need a flat brush and a bronzer, and I have a fail-safe bronzer like Hoola. It actually comes with a brush of its own, very similar brushes honestly. So let's just use the Hoola brush because we hate makeup and we don't want to buy brushes. I'm dabbing my brush like this in Hoola. I'm tapping it off on the mirror, and only to the edges of my face am I drawing some of the color back in. Because the foundation and concealer I had used was closer to the lightest parts of my skin tone, I'm now adding some of those darker parts of my skin tone back, but in a way that I would want it to hit. So I would want my skin to look like it's bronzed in the sun and it's carved out with all the shadows that I'm creating. Typically, I would use a contour color separate from a bronzer color, but because we're girls that do not like makeup, we're just gonna sub in, and which is why we need a slightly more neutral toned bronzer, because we need something that can do the work of both. Coming to blush, again, we do want blush, but we want a blush that's very muted. Something that I cannot really mess up by over applying. If you're somebody that doesn't like makeup, then you probably want something muted. And now I'm gonna dab it away. I'm gonna find the spot where my cheek, kind of the apple of my cheek. I'm gonna find the apple of my cheek by doing this sort of a motion, and whatever is rising up, feathering motion. I'm gonna feather my blush. I'm not going to apply it and rub it. No. Did I do that? Yeah. Protrude my cheek a little and then feather. And if we had to go slow, we'll do maybe something like this. But the idea is that every sweeping motion that I'm doing, there are some points which get touched and then they sort of move away. And I'm going to use some more. I'm going to do the same thing over here. It's almost like jharu, you know? We're going to do jharu because we do not like makeup, and I'm not going to be using eyeshadow. We're just going to use the same blush, dab it a little, same brush, and this time we're going to just do a little jharu on our eyelid. Okay. Whatever's left, I'm just getting it on my nose. Because we're girlies who do not like makeup, we're going to be using a mascara that is very easy to remove, and it's a very cheap mascara. This is Stays 99, and while it's waterproof, it's very easy to remove because it's a tubing mascara. I don't know why a lot of high-end brands, at least on Nykaa, do not sell tubing mascara, which is weird. But the reason I like it so much is because when you get rid of this, especially using warm water, it just comes out in tubes. It doesn't become liquidy and spreads all over. It just sort of comes out like fibers. Okay, I usually almost always recommend curling my lashes, but I'm going to try to be a girly who does not like makeup, and hence we shall not use a lash curler. I'm going to start doing my mascara. I'm going to try not to get it all over, but if we get messy, we just let it dry and we wipe it all out in the end. And the reason why we do that is because we do not want our fear and irritation and clumsiness around mascara to get in the way of us wearing makeup. And I'll have to do a separate video on the various mascara techniques that I'm using. But right now, let's just stick to the fact that I'm using a tubing mascara so that at night when I go to bed, I'm not getting annoyed by the raccoon eyes because of my mascara smearing all over the place in spite of removing with a makeup remover. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. I have a little bit on my top lip, which is completely fine. In fact, my favorite mascara trick is to get it all over the place, because that means that you really went after your lash length and maximized it. I got it on my skin again. Also doing it in front of the camera, so it's harder. And also, you're gonna try to raise your eyebrows a little. That just increases the space between your lids and your lashes, which means that your wand has more room without making a mess. But again, if you make a mess, that's completely fine. My camera just tilted. It's been doing this entire video. I need to find a tripod situation for myself. I'm gonna wait for this top mascara to dry Now I know ideally you would only want to wear a lipstick, but my lips do need lip liner, so I'm gonna line my lips. And this lip liner is K Beauty. Just making sure it's as even as possible. Okay, the lips are lined, and now I'm gonna apply a lip glaze. This is Nika, and do I like this color on me? I don't know. I messed up a little over here, but that is okay. Now my mascara situation has dried up, and so I can finally take a Q-tip and address the spread out here. There we go. See, it's so easy to remove once it's dried up. Okay, now I would ideally also powder my face. So Aditya made a post about the Studio Fix foundation powder, and I bought it. I got influenced, and turns out it's quite nice. Now there are some ways of using it. One is to use this puff like he did in the video. I usually take it on the puff and then I dab it on my hand a little, especially because I'm already wearing foundation. I'm just gonna go over some of the concealing that I have done, and I'm gonna do the same thing here, just going over the concealing that I had done. It's also compensating for that lack of pigment that I had earlier. This particular foundation is not precisely my skin tone. This one's more olive. This is C30. The other one that I have is C2, but then that one becomes too light. So I usually wear a mix of both, which defeats the purpose of this product being so simple to use. Okay, now I'm just evening out all the sections of my face that did not get enough evening out, and I'm also gonna just apply some of this powder on my neck to make sure that the final pigment kind of matches. Wow, this lipstick looks really dark. So we're gonna do what girlies that do not like makeup do, which is remove the lipstick. I'm just gonna go over with the lip liner around this corner that I had messed up earlier. And the one thing that is left, and this is completely optional, but I like to do it, take a bit of brown eyeliner and just extend this wing a little. Now, if you absolutely hate makeup and you do not want to do this step, or you haven't learned how to do this step yet, don't worry. You can either skip it, or we can cover this in another video someday. But we will just make a nice tiny wing, connect it to our lashes wherever it wants to get connected, and see if it's symmetrical. Can I see my eyes? I can. This one is unique for different people. Like, there are two kinds of people: those who have eyebrows and have a lot of them. I'm one of those. Some who do not have eyebrows, and in my case all I have to do is brush them. In fact, I also need to trim them and do a few other things, but I'm in no mood to do that. So I'm just gonna brush them and shape them. If you are someone who does not have eyebrows, you will use, well, you'll fill them in, and we'll talk about it in another video. After all of this is done, if you feel like your face is looking powdery, which it often does if you have powdered your face, you're just gonna take a setting spray and spray it on your makeup, and it's gonna bring back some of the shine. You let it dry, and then once it's all dry, you'll repowder some of the center portion, like some of the under eye and around the nose area. Till then, you're gonna let this dry. And usually, if you don't like makeup and you still want to look all dressed up, you can cheat by doing your hair. But I like doing my makeup more than I like doing my hair, so I'm just going to, should I curl my hair? I'm just gonna leave them straight. And I'm gonna wait for this to dry. And this is the final look with all the setting spray dried up. I haven't applied highlighter today, and that could be in our next video of the series, for girls who do not like wearing makeup. Each of these videos are going to be picking up a different issue. Getting rid of the peach fuzz kind of helps with makeup, provided it doesn't give you breakouts, because a lot of people, when they remove facial hair, they can get breakouts, and then that just makes the makeup journey harder. The second issue that we spoke about was when we're just too lazy to do skincare, and ideally in some subsequent videos I will talk about skincare, because when we don't have good skincare, our makeup can look really bad, and that makes us feel like our makeup is just not looking right on us. But in our case today, we are dealing with the lazy girls who do not want to do skincare and extensive prep before makeup, and they just want something quick and easy to go. And for that, you want to use a light concealer, so that whatever layers of skincare that we do have on our face, or whatever oiliness we have on our face, it still allows foundation or your concealer to stick. And because of that, we used a light concealer. If you are a dry skin girly, we're going to be talking about it in a different video, so that's going to be some other video in this series. But if you're someone with oily skin, and if you do not want to invest a lot of time doing your skincare, you want to use some sort of a light concealer like the one that I used right now. The third thing to note was to not overthink your bronzer or contour situation. If you do that, you'll have too many products. It's going to cause you decision fatigue. So just find one product that can work both as a bronzer and somewhat work as a contour. It's never perfect as a substitute, but if you're just starting out, you only want to stick to one product. Something for a skin tone like mine that really works is Hoola, but with trial and experiment, you might be able to find a color that's neither too ashy nor too warm, and is just about neutral enough to be able to give you a sort of a chiseled bronze, if that's a word. So that's what you want to do. You can skip eyeshadow in this version of the look because you're trying to minimize your steps, so you can just use your blush and your bronzer as eyeshadow. You can use a brown eyeliner to just do the corner wings of your eye. Optional, completely optional. Try using a tubing mascara so that the hassle of removing makeup at night doesn't deter you from applying it during the day. So for me, just using a tubing mascara and using a warm cloth to just remove it at night is convenient enough that I am willing to wear mascara every day, which I otherwise used to not do. And these are some starting points. I don't know if I've missed out on something, but we're going to be doing a lot of subsequent videos anyway, where we're going to be covering different cases, different products, and different situations.